So let's take a look here as we look at our 60-minute chart of the S&P 500, which has a lot of news on it, and an exceptionally large amount, much more than we usually have on here. You can see on here what happened basically when you look at this market. It kind of drifted up in here and then exploded on the upside on Monday, and then had this huge move to the downside here when the news came out about Flynn. So it was a very, very busy news week. Monday we saw China stocks week again. That was pushing the market down overnight. Bitcoin then traded to 97.21, and gold started to pop. So it was kind of a busy overnight on Monday. What really affected the markets on Monday, though, were that you had this drop in oil that started to get some fear about what the OPEC meeting was going to bring. That ended up bringing a freeze in the cuts that they had all the way through 2018, so they're going to continue all that. Real estate stocks got a pop here on strong holiday sales, but then the market kind of drifted around on Monday. Tuesday, we saw the reaction to a great Cyber Monday, 17% gains, really a record, and that brought some buying in overnight. There was hope for the tax cuts, which ended up looking like they're going to pass here on Friday. The Powell confirmation came, and he talked about December rate hike likely, normalization coming to the market. Nothing really to scare the market in there. So it started to get a lift on the upside. But then North Korea tested a missile that went 10 times higher than our space station. I mean, extraordinary distance that could get here to the U.S. The market then had a big break. It doesn't look that big when you see what happened during the rest of the week. A lot of volatility, so it made that bar look small. Senate Budget Committee advanced the tax bill as they got Corker and Johnson to comply, and the Russell soared as it screamed like 20-something points on the upside. A big update for the stock market there on Tuesday. Wednesday, GDP was revised up to 3.3%. There's some talk about 3.9% in the next quarter. The market opened higher, but then the tech stocks absolutely collapsed, and it was just a huge move to the downside in there. I think I said that was Thursday before. That was actually on Wednesday. On Thursday, OPEC held those cuts. Overnight, the energy stocks got a bid. Here is where Senator McCain backed the tax bill, and the market exploded on the upside again. There was some thought that there was going to be a delay in the vote of the tax bill, and then they had to work out all of those numbers. And then the news came out on Friday, and the market just absolutely collapsed, turned tail. You can see S&P futures traded down to 65.05, and here we are now with about 2 hours to go in the trading session, and you could see they're trading at about this was 26.05, 26.38 is where they're trading now. So they've rebounded 33 points off of their panic low in there, and getting this lift as they're thinking about the vote coming. I actually think that the vote's going to come, and the market's going to give more ground in here. And then there's the weekend coming, and everybody worried about this political discussion and what kind of risk there is for the Trump administration. So I can't see the market getting much legs on the upside here, and could have a rough week next week. We're going to talk a lot about that as we get into the rest of the show. So that's the 60-minute chart, and all of that movement that we saw happened throughout the week. Let's take a look as we switch over and look at the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ and take a look at these patterns and what we expect for the next week. So we have a huge hanging man going on right now. That's this day right over here. It had the big break, touched the minor support. It did it on day 11. We expected it to be on day 10, so that's kind of a day off. It also, the downside that we were looking for it to test last week was 25.87. Now, the downside was 26.03. So because it made a higher level, got up into this fib confluence and then failed, it didn't quite get down to the level that we expected. And it took this panic about Flynn to get this to move down that way. So you can see what we're looking for. We're looking for it to give ground early in the week and then bounce and then begin to move sharply lower. We're going to call it a choppy week in the S&P 500, but a downward bias. And my notes essentially look like this, okay? Giving up ground here maybe Friday and early Monday, trying to rally back, and then getting into a very dangerous time. You can see this minor support zone right in here. I think it's going to easily break on the downside. So the question is that the spot that we're going to get support, which is in the S&P 500, 2603 down to 2593. That's where I think it bounces and fails from, actually. And then the next level down over here, which may be 2 weeks away, is 2572. Everybody's looking at me and saying, what, are you crazy? This market can't fall that hard, but it actually can. And you can see our projections right in here as we believe that there's a correction through this date right over here. I showed you all of those charts that look like that we're going to correct into the end of the year. Well, this cycle ends on, I just highlighted that for you, on 1/7. So that's like the first week of the year. And that's kind of the pattern I think we're going to see in this corrective process as this market starts to give ground in here again. That hanging man is a problem, and we'll see if we don't get more selling coming in yet today and we lose the hanging man because it turns out to be a pretty big down day. So we're going to see as selling now starts to come in again a little bit as we get into this last hour of the day. S&P 500, we're going to look for it to, at very best, get support in this minor support zone, 2603, 2593, and I think it could be worse than that on the downside. The NASDAQ NDX, you can see in here, it followed the pattern that we expected with the decline into the 10th day off of this low. That's 10 days from here. This one was 10 days from here. This one was about 8 days from there. So it's already in this next declining period as far as we can see. That would be that this has already happened and this rally happened and it's already moving down. We believe strongly it's going to get down to this level over here at 2625 down to 6225 down to 6175. That's that area of short-term support. We think it's going to get into there in these next 5 days and then maybe to the bottom of the zone in this next 8 days right in there. That's how that cycle counts out, 7 or 8 more days. So a lot of risk that we see in here. If you remember, you'll note that we put a trade setup in on the NASDAQ. It's about this having already broken down and the kind of risk that we see in here in the NASDAQ. I mentioned last week that I thought the VIX was going to go up for about 3 to 4 days and that we were in that period for that to happen. You can see in here the VIX absolutely exploding, and it actually did it for 5 days. So what does the pattern in the VIX look like? Well, I think that the VIX is going to trade between this, well, we'll just call it 12 right over here and 15 up right over here. So we can get some more pops in here, play around, and then this is 2 weeks out where I saw that bigger potential decline coming in the market where we could get to 15 or even way higher in the VIX as we get into a real corrective period. We're going to look for a range in the VIX of approximately 12 to 15 and for implied volatilities actually to be elevated as we expected and continue to be elevated. That is a look at the short-term view for the coming week. Follow me on Twitter at AskSlim. Become a member on YouTube. So all you have to do is go on there and follow us there. Make sure you give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And if you want to get our charts, write me a email for a special. We have other specials going too. So if you don't want to do the charts and you want to do something else, I can send you special half-price links for our other content also. I hope you enjoyed that video. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also go to AskSlim.com and become a Level 1 member. No cost to you, and we have some special videos for you to see. I know you'll enjoy them.
I've been creating